Me Why feels like the first game that actually understands Xbox Game Pass. For most games, it's simply a method of delivery. For Tell Me Why, it's not just a platform, but a new storytelling tool. The game's 3 chapters are released weekly like a TV show, with the story sliced up in order to better allow for the intrigue to build and the plot turns to be digested in between episodes. Chapter 1 does a stellar job at setting up the overarching mystery perfectly, capturing the tones and atmosphere of the town, bringing in some interesting characters, and quickly establishing our twin heroes Tyler and Alyson. The elephant in the room is that Tyler is trans, making this easily the biggest game to have a trans protagonist. He is, quite simply, the new gold standard for trans characters in video games. It's not just that he exists as a trans man leading a major video game, but it's the confidence with which he's portrayed. The game doesn't shy away from the word transgender, nor does it use it melodramatically. Tyler makes references to being on testosterone, and while everyone reacts differently to seeing Tyler for the first time, all seem realistic, and none seem mean-spirited or use transphobia to raise the stakes. And more importantly, the game never uses his dead name. Tyler is much more than just a trans man anyway. He's a witty man, a driven man, and occasionally a acerbic man. Alyson, his twin sister, is also playable, and she's slightly warmer, more outgoing, but also perhaps more naive. Play switches between them throughout different scenes, and Chapter 1 does a great job of establishing their personalities, past and problems, but it feels very much like Tyler's game. Chapter 2 shifts the balance somewhat, with events more evenly shared between the Ronan twins. This time the focus on the location of Delos Crossing itself, and its story told with heart and soul, with much more time given to exploring the relationships with other key characters such as Michael. It also does well to highlight the nuance in Tell Me Why's choice system. It's more real and subtle than Dontnod's previous games, and plays into the idea of characters having their own reasons for dialogue options independently of you. Chapter 3 shifts the focus to Alyson as she finally comes into her own. Every conversation Alyson has is deeply affecting, and the twins' voice and memory vision, until this point just an intriguing mechanic, becomes both narratively and thematically interesting through her eyes. The game's eventual big reveals are perfect too, and are focused less on trying to shock players than they are trying to capture the moment for Tyler and Alyson. The way the final puzzles fold into each other is quite magical, as they reveal more about the game's central mystery, not just through truths they uncover or the connections they make, but in the very way they're presented. Taken as a whole experience, Tell Me Why offers a much-needed reshaping of the choose-your-own-adventure games, moving away from cliffhangers and dramatic, distinct choices towards a more gentle and meaningful experience. The game features bouts of magic realism, but is most magic in its human moments. All the major choices shape your character's experience more than their actions, and while the first introductory chapter occasionally feels shallow, later chapters are overflowing with depth. Tyler Ronan, the first trans character leading a game for a major studio, is also the first truly well-written trans character in gaming, and comes with no strings attached. He is wonderful, so clearly shaped by his transness, yet made of so much more than that. His twin sister Alyson plays her part too, although Tyler steals the show and gets all the best scenes, including 2 moving conversations in the later chapters that push queer representation in major video games into new territory. The ending reveals feel raw and deserved. The puzzles are inventive and whimsical, and the mini-series style presentation highlights the hidden power of Game Pass. It is a masterpiece, if not of technique, then of soul, story and heart, and we give it 5 stars.